Moist. VTUK. You know what? As rough as I felt all day, that music actually cheered me up a little bit.
I know, I had a little jiggle on there.
I could see Kaz having a bit of a dance there.
I forget everyone can see me. Well, by everyone I mean you, but yeah.
I can see everyone. So all those cheeky ball scratches and then a quick sniff of the fingers afterwards. I'm on that. I'm on that.
Oh, nice.
That's just me then.
Big Brother is watching you.
Is it?
Oh, no.
Right, pop out chat.
Good evening, everybody.
Show notes, Google Docs.
Oh yeah, I forgot about show notes. Where are
Oh
they?
yeah, show notes. Oh,
Am I the only one with the show note tabs up? Like, this is terrible.
Hang on, are we the only ones that contributed to it, Cass? Or
All mine's up.
Yeah.
All mine's up here.
All yours is up here. Is that what's? Is that what Snapback is keeping it all in there?
So
I've gave lecture. I'm choking on a sweet. I've gave lecture in a uni atrium in front of like 2,000 people without a single cue card.
Shall we show that video, Chris?
No, we shan't.
You forget I have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the newer, bigger, badder Vape Talk UK. We're having show notes now. Like, it's legit.
We did have show notes
loads
before.
of new shit.
Don't make out that you've come along to the show and brought show notes with you. We had them before.
I'm not.
We just never fucking used them.
Because when I started, we had show notes for what, about 2 shows, maybe 3.
We had quite a few show notes. We always did show notes. It was only when you came on board that we stopped.
Yeah.
Oh right.
It got a bit to be honest, it got a little bit boring because it would be like we'd have a list of what you're vaping on, and it's not a surprise then.
Yeah, well, I mean,
because Stu would always put Vulcan 1 and Alpha setup. Vulcan 1 and Alpha.
That'll be Cassie's setup. Yeah.
I can't find the fucking link to the show notes, let alone the show notes. We've typed so much shit in that chat, actually discussing stuff, preparing for the show, that I've lost it. Can someone send me a link, please?
You've lost it?
Well, we've actually discussed stuff pre-show, and for those of you that are asking, only Craig Warren. Oh shit!
Now what
He's poured liquid into his keyboard.
Oh, the keyboard is working still, but I've just picked it up and it is wet underneath.
Oh dear.
The fuck is going on?
Chris's undercarriage is wet.
That's good.
I think Simon Watson's got it absolutely spot on, despite show notes. I have great confidence it will meander off into irrelevant bollocks.
Absolutely.
Chris is on, of course it will.
I don't understand how it's got wet. You know the little tray that your keyboard sits on that you can slide in and out? I pushed it in.
Chris, what toys have you brought to the show tonight?
This a petrol start dildo. I'm vaping on.
No, I was talking because we usually have Chris's show and tell at some point through the show.
Yeah. Well, I've got nothing cool with me today. I've got a packet of refreshers. I've not had them for years. Fucking hell. They bring back memories, didn't they? They were in the kids' Halloween sweets, obviously.
You've robbed the kids' Halloween sweets.
Well, to be honest, my missus went on a mission to go to like the really posh side of the town where everyone's got like 8-bedroom houses that actually only cost them about 110 grand. But they've got these massive fucking houses and they all work offshore in the oil industry earning 8 grand, 10 grand a month. So you go there, and they practically give you like a celebrations tub full of sweets to each kid. So it's like, yeah, take them over, take them to 2 houses, and then go home.
See, round here you might get a used needle, but that's about it.
I remember once on Halloween, there was an old bloke, and he'd obviously run out of sweets, and he obviously saw that we looked a bit scummy. So he sort of, you saw a pile of tangerines by the door, and he says, "Wait a minute, lads." He says, "Wait a minute, lads. I'll be back in a minute. I've got something you'll like." And he come back and gave us 6 eggs. He must have known, because they stopped serving eggs to anyone under 18 for like 2 weeks building up to Halloween, where I used to live.
Egg. Oh, eggs. Right. Okay.
So
he gave us eggs rather than the tangerines, because he knew that we'd probably chuck the tangerines back at his fucking house.
So he gave you eggs and a bag of flour.
He gave us eggs and was like, "This, you guys will enjoy these." I'm like, either he's a bit weird and thinks that we're going to go back and make omelettes, or he knows the score. Yeah, I'm drinking on the Lost Vape Orion. I'm trying to empty the tank, because I got something really fucking cool. Well, I got given it by a friend of mine out in Canada, but I didn't know who it was from. I got a message from this strange man, and it turns out that it was my friend in Canada's dad, who works for the same company, but I didn't know any of these details, so it was a bit strange saying, "I've got a parcel for you. Where are you going to be?" And I was like, "Have you seriously made yourself a green screen so you can put that up, Chandler?"
Shit,
like,
you know,
shit subliminal messaging. But yeah, so we had you tosser. So yeah, we had a bit of a back and forth discussion, and it worked it out that it's actually my friend's dad who was coming over for Vapor Expo, but I wasn't going to be there, and he presumed I was. So I arranged for him to meet up with Jason from TYV and hand over the goods. So I've got some awesome 45mg Nick salts I want to try out. Mark, you might recognise some of these, Mark.
Chandler, would you like to promote the Vaguely Vapor related podcast at any point?
What? Sorry? No,
that's enough. That's enough. That's enough. That's enough. No more. No more. That's enough. That's enough.
We're not going to be able to monetize it if you're showing that shit. I'm joking.
Hey!
Joking. Mark, you might recognise these. I think these were your 2 favourite flavours of all time, if I'm correct in thinking. Let me just get this one out. I'm pretty sure you were in love with these bad boys.
Grup and Ming.
Grup and Ming. What?
Oh, I've got Grup and Ming. I've got Bry.
Bry.
Ooh, nice.
There's another one in that line.
Is it just called Cunt? Lemon.
Lemon. Yeah. I've also got Dat Bacco.
Dat Bacco.
Bear clouds, bro. I mean, dough.
Apparently, this is amazing. I'll get the flavour profile up for you in a minute. And I've also got Experiment.
Ooh, I like it.
I'm not being funny, but these fucking 30ml chubbies look sexy as hell. How nice do they look?
They are pretty bad. Let's be honest.
They do.
I'll give you a 30 chubby.
They're really actually quite cool. I'm holding it up to the screen.
Are they cool as fuck?
They are cool as fuck. I'm thinking of going.
There we go. There we go. A little bit of advertising for Paul there.
Oh, is that what Paul uses? Yeah.
Yeah, they're well cool.
I thought they were 25ml.
No, they're definitely 30ml because without thinking, I dumped an entire 10ml short fill in there, so I've now got 6mg.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
so that's going to be mouth to lung, that one.
So yeah, I'm trying to polish off the last of this, so I can put some lemon in it. But they smell fucking incredible. I mean, you tried the Grup and Ming, but in high VG, didn't you, Mark?
Yes, I think I only threw them away Oh no! Oh yeah. No! No! Wow! I still have a bottle of Ming.
Nice.
And that was from what? Not last expo. Yeah, not the expo just gone. The one before that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to trying it. I'm trying to rinse the last of this tank out. By rinse, I mean use quickly, not literally
Actually
rinse.
rinse.
Yeah. I can't decide between Bry and Lemon. So yeah, I'm gonna make a decision at some point during the show and fill it back up. But that's all I've been vaping on for the last 4 weeks. I bought enough pods to last me a year. So fuck off. That's really bugging me.
You weren't in the right order on my screen, so.
We weren't in the right order. What is the right order? We're not like Ant and Bloody Deck, you know.
You are.
Well, this is the normal layout.
Do we have to be in the? Do we have
Yeah,
our own?
but you do. But on my screen, you're in the wrong order on my stack, so I had to move you around. Because when I apply these, when I was doing that earlier, I was hitting Chris. I was hitting Chris, and Chandler was coming up rather than. So I've had to move it because it was messing with my head.
But yeah, I mean, I've not used anything but this Orion, including my billet box, for 4 weeks. Now my billet box is sitting on the side, which
you've not used your billet box.
I've not used it for 4 weeks, mate.
What?
The part of the reason why is because I wanted to actually give the Orion a fair test, because I don't normally do that. I normally have my billet box in my pocket anyway. I never find out whether the new device I'm testing actually satisfies me because I never use it enough because I've always got my billet box on me. Also, the coils I like for the billet box.
Is it going to mess with people if I start moving people around?
Yeah.
No, that feels unnatural.
Is that just really, really weird?
Fuck's sake.
Oh, hang on. No, they're the right way. Now they're the wrong way.
That's minging. What are you doing?
Or what we could do is put me at the bottom, because I'm always at the top. And then put
I'm always
Chris...
at the bottom. I'm never at the top.
Hey, Chris, we're at the top, because I'm never at the top either.
There we go.
But yeah, so yeah, the coils I liked for my billet box, I didn't have any either, so I ended up using it, and I've actually really fallen in love with it. I really like it. I bought a second one, and I bought a year's supply of pods, a literal year's supply of pods. Why every time someone says pod, does the Vape Vaking related podcast appear? What have you used to create that green screen? Please tell me that's like a fucking beach towel.
It looks like school rice paper.
It's just a piece. It is school rice paper. My Kelly, my wife's a school teacher.
Kelly. Kelly.
Kelly.
She got that vibe.
So I've got yeah. So hang on, green screen. It's always this is always fun when you're moving it in front of you. I don't know.
Unbelievable.
Do that again.
Do that again. I know I've got all sorts of because I just got some Asmodeus.
Keep it there. That's better. Keep it back. Yeah, there we go. That's it.
Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Funny fuckers.
Oh dear. Unbelievable.
So anyway, hang on. But we've got show notes and we've already wandered off.
Yeah, Simon was right.
Yeah,
but we're still on the show notes. We're still talking about what we're vaping on, so we're good, guys. We're good.
Yeah. Are we?
Oh yeah, man. No, that's fine.
Yeah,
it's me that's
fair
doing
enough.
the wondering.
It is. It is. Shall
So,
I talk about what I'm vaping on?
Kaz, mate, what are you vaping on?
Right. So, this week I have pimped out my NS20. They've got new thingies to go on them, so I got one of them.
New thingies.
Are
they?
Yeah.
Doors.
The door. That's the word I'm looking for. Doors. They got new doors. I felt a little bit manlier this week because I've been vaping this ultra rough tobacco flavour that I put together on the show last week. It's rough as nails, but it hits the spot.
Good.
I'm looking forward to the review.
Oh yeah, that'll be coming week or so. Elderflower and apple, and that is in the Petri, which has been amazing. I swapped the coils out on this. I had some weird spaced Canthol things and decided to put in 26 gauge nichrome parallels, and they're absolutely insane. So I've been vaping on this pretty much all week as well. So it's between those three mostly, and I've been testing out a new starter kit that I've just reviewed, which is called the S1 Quick Kit, and it's made by the Steeped Vapor Company, which is actually not too bad, although it's got this airflow ring on it that does pretty much nothing.
Very good.
Yeah, so I've actually got the airflow off at the moment just to get it tight enough, but the flavour's really good on it, so I can't really complain about that. But yeah, mostly it's been this ultra rough tobacco and the elderflower and apple in the Petri. Yeah, it's been quite a simple week for vaping for me, to be honest.
Jono in chat says, honest opinion on the Berserker RTA. I know what you're going to say.
Love it.
There you go.
Absolutely fucking love it. No matter what I put in it.
It's my daily. It is my daily.
Even on the tight, like if you want a really tight vape, you can get that. If you want it even an open mouth to lung, you can get a decent thing. But the flavour off it's magnificent. I want to see if the flavour's different on the shorter chimney with the shorter glass.
It's much better. That's why I don't use the. Yeah, that's why I don't use the 5mm.
See, the only reason I've gone for the 5mm is pure convenience of not having to fill it up a lot.
You see, my honest answer as to why I don't use the 5mm is because I've lost the chimney in the tank.
Oh, there we go then.
They'll be in a box somewhere.
But with a rough as nails tobacco, which tastes a bit like Talisker whiskey, combined with a I mean, these coils are probably burnt, but I just cannot tell. It's such a peaty, smoky tobacco flavour that, yeah, really, really enjoying it. I've probably gone through about 30ml of that crazy nicotined up Italian juice.
That crazy shit that you went through last week.
Yeah, that I accidentally started leaking all over my desk and had to put it together.
Don't talk about leaking all over the desk.
Ew.
Berserker 1.5 is out. Get me some of that, Rob Wiggles.
I go next then.
Yeah, it's your turn next, I guess. Good. But yeah, love it. Absolutely love the Berserker.
So me, same as Chris, also on the Lost Vapor Iron, 0.5 pods. On Chandler.
Yeah, that's what I'm using.
That was your cue, Chandler.
What? Was that it?
I said 0.5 pods.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, pods.
That's enough. That's enough. And in that, I am vaping on Tizzle from Salty. Right. And I didn't realise it was Salty V until the other day. From Salty, from TYV.
Do you know why it's Salty V?
No.
Salt. SALTYV.
I see what they did there.
It took me a while to cotton on, and I was like, "Is it Dale? It's vegetarian." He's like, "What?" I said, "That's like the little V they put in menus to say it's vegetarian."
Are you telling me it took Dale to tell you before you noticed?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I am also vaping on the Berserker, and I found I don't even know where it came from. It was in a cupboard at work. I didn't say pod. I found an alien.
Get away.
But the colour matches, so it's a little bit matchy.
Have you took the batteries out and it suddenly died for utterly no reason with no recourse as to how to fix it yet?
I think that's why it was in the cupboard, but now it works. I think it was probably a return.
Isn't that your general rule of thumb with Lindsay? Just lock her in a cupboard and then she starts working, you let her back out.
I was going to say, does that make it an alien resurrection?
It does. It does. I got a new pickup this week.
Ooh.
Now, the reason I picked it up was not for the tank, it was for the mod.
Ooh.
The Voopoo Drag Mini.
Also known as the wind tunnel.
Is that,
yeah.
The Mini, is that single battery?
It's no battery, it's built in. 4400 milliamp hour.
It's quite a big battery, though. I mean, that's similar to the E-Leaf iPower and the a couple of others.
Yeah, but no, it's a reasonable. I just wanted something small. It's a reasonable size.
Yeah, but Mark, what looks reasonable in your hands is massive in everyone else.
Yeah, to be fair though, the V2, the big version that you put dual 18650s in, is actually way nicer in the hand than the original version, and the Mini is actually a decent sized mod. I mean, it's probably 2/3 the size of your mod defined one, Chandler, I'd say.
Oh, smaller than.
Yeah, it's tiny.
Oh.
I'd say if you cut that 2/3 up, that's about how big it is.
Oh, height wise, okay.
Yeah, it's not big at all. It's not big at all.
Now in the setup, it came with the U-Force tank, which is plain.
Into it.
Is simple. It is what it is.
And you were forced to buy it.
Ho ho! But it is extremely turbulent. Let me give you an example here. It's not the quietest.
You've got a pop filter and it sounds like you're drinking slush poppy out of my ear hole.
and my biggest bitch about this tank, other than it sounds like a Boeing 747 taking off. Shall we attempt? Let's attempt to fill it, shall we? So it's quite a nice design. You literally slide it back. We got that. Now describe the bottles that most of us. Pardon?
Slide it back to see the hole.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it Airlock City?
So most of us will use, I'm guessing, a chubby gorilla of some sort, whether it's an authentic or whether it's a slight rip-off. We will use a chubby gorilla of some sort. Now, are you watching? Are you watching very carefully? I shall piss this juice all over the table only once. How? You cannot get the tip, but like you say, Airlock City, you struggle to get the tip in that hole.
Have you tried taking the drip tip off?
You got to go for the Techers.
That'd be too clever, Chandler. Don't suggest stuff like that.
So just hold it about 6 inches above, and then just pour.
Hang on.
Got that.
Let's take the drip tip off.
Don't inhale it.
Come on, make yourself supersize.
Oh, supersize me.
Yeah. As if you need supersizing, mate.
Yeah, that works.
There you go. Get
They
in.
show secondary.
No, it's still pissing everywhere.
Oh,
Can you just unscrew the top and then just fill it down the sides of the glass? Or does it all fall apart?
It all falls apart.
Being as you bought it just for the mod, can you just throw it at the wall for our entertainment purposes?
I wanted to try it.
What is the tank? Just out of interest.
Well, where's my t-shirt?
And mine. And mine.
You've got one.
No.
I give you one in I give you one in Manchester.
Did you, bod? No, you didn't.
Chandler would only wear it if it was like a Jeffrey's vintage waistcoat.
Where's mine, you arsehole? We had this discussion the other day.
Yeah, I need
you took my hoodies and t-shirts without even me knowing. Well, I knew, but
Chris,
I don't even get a t-shirt.
I haven't got one that'll fit you, mate.
Get two larges, cut them in half, and stick them together.
Buy two larges, cut them in half, and stick them together. Surely you'd end up with the same size.
You just slide it down one side.
Yeah, just down one side, and then so it's opened up in half, and then stick them together.
As Rob just said in chat, those mesh sub tanks chug the liquid. They're probably a shop's best friend. Honestly, I sat down last night and filled it up. Vape for 2 or 3 minutes on it, and it was like, fuck me. And there's actually a line on the coil that says, do not go below this point. And it's about 2/3 of the way up the coil. So you can literally vape like that much.
But mesh coils are not a shop's best friend, because they burn out in about 30 seconds, and you get 30 million people coming in going, why is my coil burnt out in a day? And there's no answer to that. There are no answers to it when people are looking for answers to it. It's like, well, it should last you, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, maybe a week, but it's burnt out in a day. And it's like, that's mesh coils for you. Like, they're definitely not a shop's best friend, because the amount of hassle since they've become mainstream has been like the worst thing ever.
That kind of is that what? Sorry, I don't want to jump in on you there, Mark. Is that what you're vaping on?
Yeah, I've also resurrected the Therian tonight.
Oh.
And I'm trying lemon twist.
Very nice.
Keith, sorry, I just saw my name. Keith, Mark, I got some Jeffrey's DMV and elderflower apple mixed up steeping oil. Smells gorgeous. Thank you. Doing concentrates. Wish a lot more companies would make the jump. You're welcome, Keith. And
surely that's a shake and vape.
Yeah. Elderflower and apple. Elderflower and apple shake and vape. Elderflower, the dandelion and burdock. Some of the creams get better after about 7 days. So, yeah. I'm making mine atomizer CNC. It's 0.4 ohm. What battery do you use? MacMod.
I don't really understand the question.
I would use an 18650 VTC5A battery in a MacMod for my CNC made atomizer at 0.4 ohms. When is Jim going to be on? Who's Jim?
Jim Parker?
Oh, Jimmy Parker.
Oh, don't worry about it. He's too busy going. He's booked in for a Brazilian every Tuesday night.
Yeah, I don't know. He's occasionally in chat.
He doesn't watch us anymore. He's too busy.
He usually torments us in chat, but he's not.
He's too busy. Too busy travavaring, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
He rage quit the last time because I banned him from speaking.
Yes, you did. You did put him on the naughty step.
Chandler, what are you vaping on, mate?
What, Mum? Right, I'm down to 3. This fits in quite nicely with what we were talking about a minute ago. I've got my mod-defined Draco, which is great. It's nice and heavy. Love it. With the Falcon on the top. I've got the coil went on this a while back, so I thought I'm going to get a new coil for it today, and went to my vape shop down the road, which is pants. So went quite further into town to the vape shop, and is it just me having not bought stock coils for a while, or only bought them on the internet? But I went into the shop and went, "Can I have one of the mesh coils for the Falcon?" And he went, "Yeah, £4." Are they £4 a coil?
Yeah, that's cheap.
That's cheap.
Unless they're individually packaged, they should only sell them in a pack of 5 or whatever the packs are.
All vape shops.
The Falcon coils come in a pack of 3, and they're £12 for a pack of 3.
Well then, Chandler, do the maths, mate. 12 divided by 3 is
4. Yeah, he would say. Oh, all right. Okay.
But yes, it's a good price, mate. It's standard pricing, probably.
Is that standard price? Because look, the only other coils I bought is like me super tank coils, which are a tenner, and I got 5. So I was thinking,
I think it depends. Like the baby beast coils, I think they were like £6 each or something.
Yeah, they still are.
Yeah,
no, the big beast coils.
Right. I don't know. I never bought one, but I remember seeing them in a shop and hearing someone say, "Can I get some of them?" and them say, £6, mate. And I was like, "What?"
Yeah, they're stupid.
What?
I've got full RDAs smaller than those coils.
Yeah, but this one's got a line halfway up it. As soon as it gets off. Basically, I'm probably at the line where my juice is. It's probably at the line that says you need to fill it up, which I ignore completely and wait until I get a dry hit at the end.
I really want to interject quickly with something because Cass has made a statement which was really, really pinnacle to this episode.
Go for it.
Is that right? And we'll get back to what you're vaping on. So we're doing a new section of the show where we're going to essentially do our own vaping room 101. but instead of voting things to get rid of, we're going to vote on something to bring back. And so each week, or each time I'm on, or each time someone decides to, we're going to have a category at the beginning of the show about now, and then somewhere towards the end of the show, we're going to put up our nominations once we've had a chance to think about it, and let you guys vote on which one was the best out of these, if any, and why. But the category I picked for this week, and you said it perfectly there, Gas. I've got RDAs smaller than that coil. It's the category is RDAs that were small, or RDAs or tanks that were really small before they were intentionally really small. Does that make sense? So,
yeah, so they were small without the design of them trying to be small.
Yeah, so like when small was a standard size. Before none of this armor or any of the newer really small RDAs, but the ones that were inherently small when they were designed before people realized that that's why they were small. Does that make sense?
Did you ever get a reply from the phone call you made?
Well, I can't even remember what I did. What was that?
You rang China, didn't you?
Oh yeah, you rang
China. My suggestion. What was that for?
I can't remember.
I can't remember for the life of me.
You managed. Oh, you wanted them to bring back something. It was something you wanted them to bring back, and I now can't remember what the hell it was.
I'm not gonna lie. It was something awesome, I'd imagine.
I've got my answer to this already.
Right, well, we'll get to that at the end of the show. Tanner, what are you vaping on, mate?
Yeah, just to go back to just to chat. Sam Squires has just put I don't do stock coils in the chat. Yeah, I don't, which was why I didn't realise that £4 was reasonable.
To be honest, I don't think it is. I don't think it is reasonable, but it depends on the tank you've got. Do you know what I mean? If you're going out to buy a tank and you're told beforehand that every coil is going to cost you £4, it might make you rethink it. You can buy Orion pod for £4. Well, I think they're 10 for 2. It's £5, but a whole pod, including a drip tip. You like drip tips, Chandler?
I do like drip tips.
Same price as a coil. But that also leads me into something I want to show you. So let you get on with your thing, and then I'll show you.
Yeah. I wanted to say as well that I specifically asked the bloke in the store. I says, "Can I have a mesh coil, please?" Now I don't know if you know the Falcon, but it comes with about 27 different coils that you can use with it.
Buy a cheaper one.
Yeah. It got 2 left, and both of them I didn't realise till I got home weren't mesh, so I haven't got a mesh coil.
So there's a line in the notes that makes me think you put it there.
Yes, that might be the line that I put in there. Yeah.
Elaborate.
Do you want me to elaborate now?
Might as well. Yeah.
I was vaping on it earlier. I was saying, is this, or because I've noticed the tendency now for these sub tanks, the resistance on them are getting lower and lower and lower. The resistance of this coil is 0.2. The mesh coils are 0.15. And the recommendation is that you vape them at 70 watts. So I did a bit of mathematics, which means that on the 0.2 coils, if you're vaping that at 70 watts, that's pulling 19 amps. If you're vaping a 1.5 at 70 watts, that's pulling 23 amps.
That's not disgusting.
It's not disgusting, but
they've got regulatory chips in them to prevent them from like over discharging the battery. So if it was an unregulated mod selling with that tank, I'd still use it. It's just the fact that I wouldn't advise people that are inexperienced to use it. But with it having a chip in it, I think that's kind of as safe as you're going to get, really.
Yeah, well, I mean, Sony VC4As, because Mooch has tested them and given them and I go by Mooch's battery amp limits.
Well, Badger put up a thing in the group earlier, didn't he? He pinned a file. Do we have this?
Yeah, because the VTC 5As are, he's rated them at 25 amps. So if you've got VTC 5As, or 4As, whichever one it is, fine, sorted. I've got HG2s in here, and Mooch rated those at 20 amps. So on the 0.2 coil, I'm all right. If I'm on the 1.15, technically I'm going over the amp rating of my batteries.
But if you're in parallel, you're safe.
Mooch also puts a disclaimer at the bottom of that thing that he's put out. My fucking Facebook's being a dick, but there you go. Whatever. I'm finding it. 2 seconds. 2 seconds.
That's all right. So most regulated mods, your batteries go in series. So if you're putting them in series, then your
pulling
maximum ampage is the same as one battery. So
yeah, but are they? It's powered in series, right? But again, it's all part of this, the regulatory chip in it. It kind of prevents a lot of the issues you'd get if you were trying to do the same feat with a unregulated device.
Right. So
this is a file. 2 seconds.
I've always wondered about this. If you've got a regulated mod, do you need to worry about your batteries? You still need to have your high drain batteries, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it kind of has a lot of additional protection that you wouldn't get from just any old device. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It kind of, the reason it's regulated is, you know.
It was just my worry because the first vape shop I went into today, the only battery they sold was an Aspire 18650.
The Aspire 18650s, I think, are rewraps 25Rs. I
think 25 hours, so they're not too bad.
Or they're HG2s. Depends which ones you get.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
So what battery did you say you're using?
I've got the HG2s, so it's a brown one.
Oh, it's not even on that list.
They're old batteries now, though. To be fair.
Yeah, they are.
Get yourself a set of VTC 6As. Change your life.
Right. I've got the VTC 4s. Why don't I get the list that I saw earlier? Because so if you put Mooch chart, it usually comes up in a image search. There we go. I think
that one I've just put up is the newest one is released.
That's a good question. Liam's just asked in the chat. What about when the mod starts reading the wrong resistance, though? Now
it will put out the wrong amps. It will still protect
exactly.
It'll put out the wrong amps.
But it will cut itself out before it discharges too high for the battery. Do you know what I mean? It will cut out. It won't allow you to discharge the battery.
How much trust do you put in that when it's reading?
A fair amount, because they're separate systems. I mean, the worst you'd do really is burn your coils out. Even the Smock Alien, when it reads the wrong resistance, says don't abuse protect on it and cuts out.
Yeah, well, this is why they have ohm limits, because they couldn't physically control the battery, how it decides to discharge based on the reading. But a lot of them
Chris, just quickly, it was the Hannah mods. Was it Hannah that you rang?
I don't think it was.
It was someone like that.
It was someone like that.
Watch that show and find out.
I think it was something to do with ringing. I think I rang Fast Tech or something.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
There you go. Let's.
But like you said about them resistances, the thing that bugged me about Smock mods is that they never actively change. They you have to literally take the atomizer off and then put it back on for it to reset itself. It can't live update itself.
That one's the HG2. I'm pointing it with my mouse. That brown one.
Yeah.
You're pointing at a green one.
Yeah, that's the one that I've got. That's the one that I've got. In,
Yeah.
I use those. I use those because they're the 3,000 milliamp hours, 20 amps. When I'm using dual parallel, it doubles it up, so I've got a 40 amp, 6,000 milliamp hours.
Yeah. See,
so that's why I went for those.
John has just said in the chat, now technology asks you, is this a new coil? That's great, but if you're building on it and your resistance changes when you pulse it or as you build, it doesn't update. So if you've got a build that's a little bit too low, but once you've pulsed it, it comes up a little bit.
But if you fire it once you've finished building it and you put the tank together or whatever, and you put your juice in, and it wicks up, you fire it and it will say, "Is this a new coil?" You click yes. The second it reads more than sort of I think it's something like 0.2 ohms either side. You can set it in e-scribe on a lot of DNA boards. You could, as soon as it reads more than 0.2 ohms either side, then it'll ask if it's a new coil. So you'll never really face a huge problem if the chip is done right. The problem with a lot of these chips is that they're custom PCB boards. They're not boards that, the evolved DNA chips aren't cheap. So that they'll buy a PCB board or have a PCB board developed, and those PCB boards are accustomed to whatever the design is of the manufacturer. So if they don't incorporate that technology, then you can face that problem. But I think that sort of died out a bit. We used to face that issue a lot, and it would ohm jump from 1.8 ohms to 0.2 ohms and fry your coil. But in this day and age, they're coming up with more and more technology. Like the replay feature of a DNA Go chip is amazing. Considering how big, have you seen Jabo's breakdown of an Orion?
Yeah.
He took the fucking thing apart and he went to their factory. I watched that as well. And he asked the manufacturer why there was 3 different types of screws. And the bloke says to him, "Because I didn't want people like you to do what you did and take it apart." But he took it apart, and actually the DNA Go chip sits underneath this panel here. So the DNA Go chip is only that wide.
It's literally like that big.
About this big, yeah.
Isn't it?
Absolutely tiny. So to be able to have not only 3 different output settings, a lock-in feature, a replay feature, because if you say you've got it set to 8 watts and you fire it and it's only managed to ramp up to 7 watts, and then you hold the replay button, it will bookmark it for 7 watts rather than the 8 watts it was set to, because it goes off the draw rather than the setting.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So if you have it set to 40 watts, say, and you hit it, but you let go of it after a second, and you think, "Oh, that hit was good," it might have only got up to 12 watts, and it will replay that 12 watts rather than replay the 40 watts it's set to.
So you're the first person to explain what replay actually fucking does, rather than someone goes, "Oh, well, if you like that, it's going to do the same again." Now I actually fucking understand what replay does.
Yeah, when you hook it up to e-scribe and do live pulses, and then you hold the replay button, I was then hitting it again, and so say I had it set here, I was pulsing it, and stopping it about there before it reached whatever I had it set to, then hitting replay, and it was going back up to there every time rather than all the way up to whatever it was supposed to be set to. So that's the replay feature. But it's also got fucking USB charging in it, which is it's a 2 amp fast charge as well, I think. All of that in a chip about as big as your thumbnail.
It's mental.
They should, as standard, be able to have that ohm calculation sorted out. But they have it so on a DNA through eScribe, you can set it so that whatever amp it reads at, it will keep it at that amp rating. So you could have a 0.4 ohm coil in it, go on to eScribe on a DNA 200, go on to eScribe and set that coil to 1.8 ohm or 0.6 ohm or whatever it is, regardless of what the ohm rating of the coil is. Now that is fucking intelligence in by design. I mean, I've never actually bothered doing that, but
yeah, and this was my thought, because if this seems to be the sort of thing that a lot of new vapors, when they're going for the direct lung, seem to go for this sort of thing. And I'm thinking, if they're putting 23 amps through batteries, they know nothing about battery safety. They're just buying whatever batteries are given to them in shop. If they're putting a lot, that's putting a lot of work through that battery.
Yeah.
And through the mod. I don't know how safe that is, even on a regulated mod, because I would have thought I've always tried to keep what I'm vaping on under the vape limit of my batteries.
The problem I find is that whenever I go into a vape shop, I see people all the time. Every time I'm in there, someone seems to have a battery out. Whether they're changing a battery, buying a battery, there's always a battery in every shop I've been in. Every shop. And the last couple of times I've noticed that since I've been out the loop, and I bought, I think a couple of expos ago, I bought like 300 batteries. My business partner out in the States had come over and we had loads, like 100 testers out. So he bought enough batteries so we wouldn't need to charge any over the weekend. And then he said to me, "Oh, you can have them for £1 each." So I think I bought like, I don't know, 200 batteries off him for 200 quid. So I've not had to buy batteries for like over a year. And now I've seen there's so many different brands or rewraps I don't recognise.
Yeah.
And especially, I found it myself. I bought a pack of like, I don't know, 25 ODB wraps. And I've wrapped 25 batteries. I couldn't fucking tell you which battery was under each wrap.
I've got a little notebook that I've recorded which colours are which batteries. But I must admit, I have rewrapped some of those batteries since and put like fancy wraps on them.
Well, I bought a pack of like 800 battery wraps.
Still green on it, yeah. Oops.
I bought like 800 battery wraps from Amazon for like, I don't know, fucking £3 or something. And every time I see one of my pals who's got a fucked up battery wrap who doesn't know that much about vaping, I'll give him a handful of battery wraps and say, make sure you keep that fresh. Do you know what I mean? But then the thing is, they put so many different wraps on them because they're always battering them. They're then they'll buy like a series box and they'll be pairing up 2 different batteries that they don't know if they're the same battery or the same amp rating or anything. And they'll say, the prongs on the top look the same. I'm like, that doesn't fucking mean it. I'll buy new batteries. Stop being a tramp. Buy new batteries. It's not safe.
Amazing.
Yeah, well, that was the whole reason I went into the shop. I went into the shop thinking, I've got a new dual battery mod. I thought I've had these dual batteries paired batteries for ages, so I was going to buy a new pair of batteries. But seeing as they said they were Aspire, and when I asked him what the amp rating was on it, he looked at me blankly. So I didn't get any, strangely enough.
Let's move on to the news then. Funnily enough, if you look at this week's
before we get into the news we're going to get angry about, can I share some news?
Yeah.
Because I know everyone's going to get passionate about. Cass has already gone red in the face thinking about it.
Yes. Yes, look at him.
Yes. He's already red, angry and thinking about it. Someone I'm working with at the minute, he sent me a video link to a product that I thought was quite interesting. I'm not overly convinced of the product itself at the minute as it stands, but the idea I think is very, very, very cool. Check this out.
Oh, don't start.
No,
please. Terrible.
What? Why?
So
it already
wasteful.
exists. This
is the product. This is a disposable sub tank, right?
Yeah, it's like the Preco tank.
It's essentially a pod. It's a long coil, you know, like the what are they called? The T20 or the T22. You know, they have those really long coils.
Yeah.
It's essentially a long coil that fills up the whole center of that with a 510 screw on the bottom. and the whole case is plastic, and it seals to the coil with rubber O-rings, and instead of changing your coil, you just throw the tank away and get the next one out.
Because, you know, we need more disposable plastic in this world.
$15 for 3.
Yeah, it's the same as the Preco tank.
It's
I don't know what that
wasteful. It's the one that's on the market already.
This one's already on the market.
Yeah, effectively, it's a it's just a pod, isn't it? That's got a 510 on the bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's pretty cool.
To be fair,
I don't like it as it is. I don't like it as it is.
Using them as testers.
Right. See, I don't like it as it is. I think that I think they look ugly. I think they look like cheap as shit. But
No.
I'm also quite. I think it's quite a good idea.
Let's open it up to chat. What are chat's thoughts and opinions on disposable tanks? Be interesting to know. I know my opinion. They go in proper cunty.
I think you should revive it just to put this in there somewhere. I think this would look good on a Zomo laser. Aesthetic wise. I think the concept's good. I just don't think it's.
I actually saw a Zomo laser in the flesh at Expo. I was like, oh, it took me 5 minutes to remember what the hell it was called. I recognised it and went, I know what it's called.
I saw the new Zomo as well, which was disgusting.
Some makes me laugh.
I think I'll get rid of it.
It was like, all of a sudden I went, oh,
I've been fucking lynch mobbed in the chat.
Come on, what happens if a sea turtle chokes on it, Chris? That's brilliant.
Oh, fuck me. All right, yeah. What I'll do is I'll just drip. I'll drip my juice directly on the coil terminals of the Orion, and I won't buy any more pods. People can't get on their high horse about that. Then be happy to buy pod system.
Yeah, there's no difference between that disposable tank and the disposable pod.
And to be fair, turtles might be able to breathe through the airflow. It's not a carrier bag.
They might whistle, they inhale it.
Oh god, if they're using that tank Mark's using, fuck me. They'll be eaten by sharks from 50 miles away. They'd hear them coming.
They might swallow the drip tip though.
Oh god. Get stuck in the lung. What you could do is throw in the turbo by Tobacco, and they could use it as like a little outboard motor, fucking firing along the sea at, I don't know, 20 knots or whatever is fast for a motor.
I think we ought to start. I think we ought to start with Mr. MSN. I think we ought to give.
We're going to start with him.
Where is MSN coming from? Because that article wasn't written on MSN.
No, but that's where it's actually written in Men's Health.
Yeah.
And the guy. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just throw this up on my screen. So what you're about to read.
Don't advertise it. Just cut out the bits that we want to point out, because I don't want to give him any more exposure than he deserves.
No, there's got to be a precursor to this, right? So this dude has written about his experience of trying to give up with cigarettes, right? Which is fine. Everyone has a different experience, and it doesn't work for everyone. So, you know, I'm not slating this guy for not being able to give up cigarettes with vaping, because for some people, it just doesn't work. However, this guy has decided to write in a public forum about vaping with a certain amount of facts that he absolutely has not researched, and I wouldn't even call it bias, I just call it fucking ignorance. Right, so this guy is one man's journey through the promise and peril of e-cigarettes. So I'm not going to read all of it because it's mental, but basically this dude, as you can see, his smoking habit was 2 or 3 cigarettes a day, guys. I mean, that's not even social smoking levels, okay?
Wait. It had crept up to 2 or 3 a day. Fuck me, what was it on before?
I think he might have just been chewing backy at this point.
And a lot more when he was drinking. He might have actually had 4 when he was drinking.
Yeah,
maybe
fucking hell. Right, so he talks about how he works in an office and there was a billboard with a Juul advert in front of it. He's working in New York, so Times Square. So this isn't the UK. Anyway, so he says e-cigarettes have been around since 2003, and they might be. What does it say? Cigarettes might be the least controversial enemies of your health. They cause cancer, emphysema, blah blah blah. We all know this. This is fine. This bit is not the issue. So, where am I looking? Here we go. So when people voiced health concerns, I came to my Jules' defence. If you're going to smoke, it's clearly better to go with e-cigarettes. In fact, the UK's Public Health England published a review concluding vaping was 95% less harmful than smoking. And then he goes on to talk about a Greek study in which 81% of 19,000 people had successfully used it. Let's skip to the bit. So he talks about a load of bollocks here. Right.
He talks about a load of bollocks pretty much all the way through.
Pretty much. Yeah, right. So, where am I looking here? So, after all, the average cigarette has some 4,000 chemical compounds, including dozens of confirmed carcinogens, whilst my e-cigarette cartridges contain just 5. Distilled water, nicotine, glycerin, propylene glycol, and some flavouring. That's a flimsy argument. Something with lots of scary chemicals is less dangerous than something with just a few scary chemicals. This is where the bullshit starts. Firstly,
why is that a flimsy argument for starters? I mean, you've got 4,000 down to 5.
I think it's pretty good going. As far as I'm concerned, that's a fairly heavy reduction.
And the 5, we know about these 5, and they're not particularly scary compared to
what I like
the
is
4,000 in cigs.
Actually, the chemical compounds in cigarette smoke, there are 7,000 chemicals in tobacco smoke, and 250 or more are known to be harmful. So there's 250 carcinogens, not dozens, which probably makes people think 24, 48. There's 250.
Yep.
Just getting out there. Carry on.
This is where it gets. So, firstly, that propylene glycol, largely responsible for making your breath look like a cloud of mist, is also found in fog machines used in concerts and has been linked to chronic lung problems among stage hands. Right, here we go. So, propylene glycol actually is used in inhalers, it is used in toothpaste, it is used in many things that you inhale. It is used in the...
You inhale toothpaste?
Say
you
again?
inhale toothpaste? Seriously?
No. But what I'm saying is it's in a lot of things that we ingest or inhale. It's also used in the, what's it called, anesthetic gas that they help put you out with when you go for surgery. But on top of that, the biggest glaring thing here is it's not responsible for the cloud. That's the vegetable glycerin. So a basic mistake that with some basic research he would have found out was wrong. He then goes to fog machines used in concerts. Now, again, that's vegetable glycerin. I worked in live sound for almost 10 years. I've never once heard of anyone ever having lung problems. There's one thing where you can have oil-based fog machines, and it's about 1 in 2,000 people has a slight allergic reaction to it, but that's an oil-based thing that's completely different to this. And then he talks about it's actually FDA approved for use in food. Believe it or not, it's common in pre-made cake mix, but when heated to vaping temperature, it can produce the carcinogen formaldehyde. And it just goes on and on and on and on. And he talks about all of these published things. You can vape anywhere. My girlfriend is all too happy to kiss me as I've been inhaling vanilla fumes. And the thing that gets me, right, is that he's talking about his personal experience, right? And then using that to blast this massive anti-vaping party line because it didn't work for him, right?
Did we discuss that? Did we discuss that lawsuit that I put in the group, or is that after last week's show and before this week's show?
Possibly. Where was the best one? There was an amazing bit. There's an amazing bit in this where basically he said that most people have a better result with standard smoking cessation devices like patches and inhalers than they do with vaping. Now, I don't know where he's got that information from.
And then there was a doctor that went, oh yeah, I'm not surprised you didn't give it, you weren't able to give up with smoking. There was a quote he put in there from a doctor or a clinician.
Although it's true that some people successfully quit smoking with e-cigarettes, for most smokers who use e-cigarettes, it actually makes it harder to quit. If you look across all studies, what they show is smokers who use these are a third less likely to quit smoking than smokers that don't. That's bollocks. What he means to say is, okay, granted, we're not giving up nicotine, but we are giving up smoking, and that is the key difference that he completely glosses over here.
No, because what he was saying in that article was he said that the majority of vapors continue to smoke, so they smoke as well as vape. So he wasn't even inferring that with the nicotine. He was saying that those who try to give up, who use vaping, still continue with the cigarettes, which again
his quote
isn't.
of that whole,
There's a lot of dual users.
his quote of his whole thing was that got me was vaping is something I can't remember what it was, and I can't obviously scroll on Cass's screen for him, but it was something to do with
I'll find it.
Vaping is along the lines of vaping is not anywhere near as successful as we think it is, and people much prefer or get much better results by using FDA approved nicotine patches, gum, and other cessation devices or whatever. And essentially he was saying that basically anything that the FDA approves of in terms of big pharma or big tobacco, they're great. They're great. And then my response to that in our group chat was he's literally one paycheck away from saying vaping's bad for you apart from Vape or Blue.
Exactly. And at the beginning of this article, he's like, oh yeah, we've got this Greek study that says 80% of 19,000 people successfully gave up with it. It's like, mate, clearly you're just part of that 20%. Here we go. That's the quote you're talking about. E-cigarettes and other forms of vaping have been tested as a way for smoking cessation, and they don't do very well. Certainly not as well as the standard FDA-approved nicotine replacement products. Now, I don't know whether he realizes, but just because it's not necessarily FDA-approved doesn't mean that the chemistry and physics behind vaping stop existing.
And I'm not being funny, but when the FDA registration for e-cigarette products come out, do you know what they asked for when filling out the FDA registration? I've got products registered with the FDA. Do you know what they asked for the credentials?
What's that?
Name, description, something else, a few other bits, company, all this bollocks. But the main identification they had that you had to upload was essentially a plan or a net of the packaging. So if the packaging didn't show what the product was, you could register products that didn't exist. And as long as you used the packaging you'd told them, when they came in through customs, and if they were seized by border control and they looked and the packaging was registered, I'm presuming that you could put anything in it. It was FDA registered.
So, good old Cass, you dropped the guy a quick tweet, didn't you?
Oh, I did, yes. Let me... Actually, I think I've got it in the chat. Actually, I'm just going to go to my Twitter and read it off. It's not going to go up on screen.
I thought he was going to be really diplomatic and say, something along the lines of, oh, and so who funded all this research? Or, what is backing your stance? What is your reason for coming up with this conclusion? And instead, Cass come out with what?
Okay, so if you do want to go tweet him, his tag is @NCJMS, right? I've just put, your MSN article on vaping was not only factually incorrect, but inaccurate and quite honestly bullshit. You seem to clearly think you have some authority to talk about vaping, so maybe get your shit right before blasting the big tobacco party line all over the internet. I didn't get a reply.
and then he dropped the mic.
The thing was, right, if this story had just been about the fact that he tried to use e-cigarettes and it didn't work for him, and this is why it didn't work for him, fine, I get that. But when you're trying to blast all of the bullshit that he was trying to blast and then say that was the reason he specifically couldn't do it, nah. It's contradictory, it's incorrect, it is just 100% bullshit. I went on his Twitter and... let me see if I can find some of these fucking articles he's come out with. Honestly, like,
I went on his Facebook and he only had 12 friends. That tells you everything.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's got 802 followers. Apparently writes for Vice. Apparently writes for something called Barbend. It might as well be called Bellend. And then he just retweets self-esteem memes all over his Twitter. And then he does a big investigation on artificial sweeteners.
You do realise we can only still see this article?
Yeah, no, I know.
All right.
No, I know. I hadn't switched it off. Right, let's move on to some less angry news. we were going to cover it last week, but we had such incredible content. Was it last week, Nadeem? It was last week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was that the week before? Yeah.
No.
This is probably the biggest thing. Let me just swap over the old screen share a second, because it's on the wrong tab. Okay, share. There we go.
Is this the thing I talked about?
No, I think Mark popped up. This is the only thing I could find.
Well.
Yes, definitely.
This I know. I know I had a conversation about this at the time that it happened, and we didn't get a chance for it last week.
Basically,
so, yeah.
This is on Reddit. This is actually a screenshot, so I can't scroll it. But this basically simply tells you what's going to happen. So South Australia, the government in South Australia, the state, is preparing a vote on the Tobacco Amendment Bill. Now I think this has now passed, hasn't it? Basically, they are seeking to rewrite reality and classify all vaping devices as tobacco products, which is what we've had here in the UK. However, they're going in harder. They ban the online sale of tobacco products, and it will be the only state to ban the online sale of vaping products. And as far as I'm aware, no mods, tanks, e-liquids, coils, or accessories will be able to sell. It will even be illegal to sell a simple 18650 battery to a South Australian if it's intended for use in a vaporizer. Now, I know, Mark, you were saying that Paul was basically fucked by this.
Pretty much. He was saying that it has been passed. Paul's saying it's been passed. He was saying that he got stuff sat in customs that had been sent through, obviously prior to this bill. I don't know. He's watching this evening. Did you ever manage to recover your stuff out of customs?
Is it illegal to import stuff though?
Yeah, illegal
Because,
to
like,
sell,
over here, it's
import, export.
Oh, is it? Okay, so because it's illegal over here to buy anything over 20 milligram, but you can import it. Personal use, obviously.
From what I can gather, it's just a full-out ban on vaping. Other than the actual use of it.
Oh, we've actually had such a conversation in our group chat. It's taken me ages to find that other article. Let me just get back a bit further.
I'm just catching up on the comments after screen sharing for so long. Some of these comments are amazing. I love chat. This is amazing. Yeah, here we go. Simon, a little while ago, said problems amongst stagehands. Most stagehands I met were so coked up to do the hours, the fucking PG wouldn't get clogged, wouldn't get up there. They're clogged noses. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. But also, if you're a stagehand and you said, "Do you mind turning that fog machine off? It's affecting my lungs a little bit," they'd be laughed at.
I mean, I'm not being funny. If you're allergic to lemons, you don't get a job as a lemon picker, right?
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. Oh, man, honestly. One more bit of news, and then I think that
hopefully I've found mine by then.
Yeah. So let me just pop this back up on chat. This is a little... If this is the one I think it is... yeah, no, this is actually about 5 days old. So Thailand are actually rethinking their harsh vape ban, which is quite progressive. It's fairly progressive for what is not necessarily the most progressive when it comes to their rules. So let's start off. Thailand's vape ban is no joke. The Southeast Asian country prohibits the manufacture, sale and importation of e-cigarettes, and even possession could earn you time in jail. But they're saying that reasonable regulation of vapor products would benefit both vapors and smokers and the government, which could tax the products and also avoid some of the bad publicity its ban has generated. Incidents of foreign visitors being detained for importing vapes in speech marks there have led to tourism damaging headlines. In other words, don't go to Thailand, you're going to get put in jail for having a creaky vape. So, you know, they're looking at relaxing them, which I think is fantastic. They're taking a fairly progressive view of it, and they're seeing the benefits before they're seeing the negatives of it. And I think a lot of governments could do with looking at that way around. I mean, I don't really see what the negatives of it are, other than that the tobacco companies lose out. And in a lot of Asian countries, we know that everyone smokes. China, everyone smokes. In fact, I think the only one that a lot of people don't is like Singapore. Don't think a lot of people smoke in Singapore. Maybe I'm wrong. So yeah, here we go. Thailand's vaping restrictions have even led to an official tourist advisory from the UK government. So you can look at you go on the government website and they see what you can and can't do in certain countries, what you've got to watch out for. Vaping's on there. Like, don't vape in Thailand. But it wasn't that long ago they banned it. It was 2014, so 4 years ago. It's crazy, but it's nice to see that a country that we wouldn't have thought necessarily was quite as progressive is actually starting to be progressive. And
apparently Paul got 3 out of the 8 parcels that were sat in customs, so he lost 5 of them.
What happened to the other 5? Are they gone?
I imagine they'd have been destroyed.
Customs officers vaping the fuck out of it.
Well, they're having a great time.
Oh,
why can't I find this shit?
Well, whilst we're talking about news, whilst it's not really news, I'd be interested to get some people's opinions on this. Now, I know Chris is aware of this because I believe he commented, but I got a PM from a close friend of mine the other day who said it was actually referring to someone that had made a comment. But all hell broke loose, and some people kicked off. And I'm not going to mention any people's names. I'm not going to mention any shop names. I'm not going to mention anything. But some UK shops have started getting in billet boxes.
They have.
And obviously, I've bought billet boxes. I've bought 3 or 4 billet boxes from the States. Paul's saying that his boxes were destroyed. I've bought a few billet boxes from the States, and they're fucking expensive to import.
Yeah.
I think the customs bill alone, I can't remember if it was £60 or £80 a unit, plus the cost of shipping. It wasn't a cheap affair. Now, obviously,
I think expedited shipping on a single billet box is like $40.
That's insane.
Yeah, plus your £60 to £80 customs fee when it hits the UK. So there's a handful of shops in the UK that have started stocking billet boxes. And it all kicked off, I don't know if it was last night, the night before.
Last night.
People whinging that shops shouldn't be allowed to buy billet box, and I quote, flip them.
Flip them?
And to flip them.
They're cheaper than they are on the actual website on the sites I've seen.
Huh.
And also, what's wrong with buying a product to sell it?
They're a hell of a lot cheaper than it costs you to import the damn things.
Exactly. But there was a lot of justifications and lots of arguments, and I think my personal opinion is that there's a handful of butthurt people that have got something that nobody else had got, and now you can get them in the UK. It's devalued their product because they can't sell them, they can't flip them for as much as they could have done had they not have been available in the UK. Personal opinion, I'm not saying that's the case, but I
think the price is the great leveler of those, though, because you're still going to have... I mean, okay, apart from how dumb it is, it's like, I've got one, no one else can have one. Like, that's a dumb attitude. Like, if you like it, you should think everyone should have it. But they're so expensive that you're not going to go out and buy one tomorrow. Like, you've still got a premium product. What's the problem?
I'm just curious as to what chat thinks. You know, not specifically billet boxes, but other higher end products. You know, would you be happy to see UK stores stocking some of these higher end products and not having to join a list, or not having to wait, or not having to order from the States, or not having to sit there pressing F5 waiting for something to come in stock? Are you happy to see it in the UK? Or would you rather it be something that you have to order from the States, that you have to be part of a group, that you have to suck someone off to get one? Or would you rather see it purely available in the UK as well?
I'd like to see the Haku available on UK stores. I hate having to sign up to a
The
list
Haku?
for it. Yeah, man. Yeah,
Haku?
I had to sign up for a list for it. The Haku, Haku,
Oh,
whatever.
the Haku.
Haku. You know what I meant. But I had to sign up to a Google Doc list to get that.
I didn't.
I
Well,
did.
no, of course you didn't.
But
I know a guy who knows it.
yeah, exactly. Is it the same guy, Chris?
Probably. I know a guy who knows a guy who sucks off the right guy. We're sorted.
But I think that if you love a product, a better availability of it doesn't devalue the product. The product hasn't got any worse. Okay, maybe yeah, it's less unique now. But then if you bought it that long ago, you're probably going to have a better edition of it or something. Vaporism just is bullshit, man.
Okay, I'm gonna put in billet box into a doofer. See if I can find the.
Don't mention any UK companies.
No, because I know.
Think...
I've seen a couple of. I know of a couple of UK I know of one company that has been stocking it for ages.
Yeah.
In the UK.
But where did this all kick off on? Because I completely missed this.
And I don't see the issue.
It was a group called Billet Box Bay.
Ah.
Right, the box shop.
And they were getting
there we go. Billet box vapor shop.
My 50p way in there was like my logic behind it was, yes, they're charging slightly more than you'd buy it for, but one, it takes forever to get their VAT back. Two, they won't get their import taxes or their shipping back. Three, billet box have never really wholesaled, so I can't imagine they'd be willing to take a huge hit on their pricing, knowing how well the product sells. So they won't have got an incredible price. And also the fact is that of a 300 quid sale, 60 quid of that goes to the tax man. So
It doesn't.
well, how much of it goes to the tax man?
Divide it by 1.2.
Right, I'm looking on the billet box webs. Well, why don't I share my screen? That might work, eh?
50 quid, Chris.
Oh, 50 or 60 quid. There's not really that much of a difference when it's coming off of your profits. Do you know what I mean? So essentially, they're taking what? If they say they bought 10 boxes at 200 quid each, and they're selling them for 300 quid each, 50 quid of that is automatically gone to the tax man.
You've
And
got
then
your
you
shipping.
have the whole.
Then you've got your shipping.
Your
Your
you've
import
got your
duty.
import tax. The VAT they'll get back, but it could be, months before they get it.
Well, no, the VAT will be offset. They won't get it back.
Well, yeah, do you know what I mean? But they can claim it back, like, against stuff. And stop fucking... You know what I meant?
I know what you meant. I was just clearing it up for everyone else that might not have known what you meant.
Right, the ones that this is the billet box American site. They start at $264.
See, I thought they were like $450 for some reason.
No, well, they are once you get them. But no, that exact same one on the English website was up for 275 quid.
I saw one on there for 376 quid.
Yeah. But if you think $264, you're looking at least $50 in shipping. You're not including any import duty because you'd have to pay because there's no VAT on that.
So
I
you
would
pay
say
60 to 80 quid on top.
60 to 80 quid on top of that. It's 46. I think it's either $36 or $46 flat rate expedited shipping. So, say if we went with a conservative estimate of $36, which is what, 25 quid? Add the 80 quid.
Let's go for what?
You're looking at adding $100 onto that minimum.
Let's call it. I mean, if you go for the top, this one's $299. So if we call it $350.
That's shit. And then you've got the import tax on top of that.
Yeah, it'd be closer to $400. So let's call it $400 in pounds.
Looking at $420 ish, give or take.
$400 is £305.
But yeah, then you're taking to the shipping and the customs, and the fact that you can get it tomorrow instead of like 6 weeks' time.
Yeah, that's adding. Yeah, that's adding. That's adding a bit on for.
And that website's got a discount code of 10% as well. So,
but yeah, the biggest thing is you don't have to wait for it.
Next day delivery, and
it seems as though, you know, the vast majority of people, in fact, everyone I've seen has said they'd sooner see them in the UK, potentially pay a little bit more for the warranty side, for the fact that you can get it next day, and you'll probably find a 10% discount code as well anyway.
Yeah. And 10% off that price is a lot of money.
And the more stores,
10% of 300 quid is 30 quid, Cass.
And that's a lot of money to have off.
And the more stores that start getting them over in the UK, you're adding a bit more competition into it, and the price might drop a little.
So what we're saying is, UK Stockits of Billet Box has got Vape Talk UK's seal of approval.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
If that
and also stop being an elitist.
Right, so yeah, let me go with my news. So there's a vape shop in America. I can't even remember the name of the shop, to be honest. It was that long ago. We discussed it. But essentially, they had I'd seen a couple of posts for their local news, but it was like Fox News, or like a big news station, not like a like a proper local one. But the news, there was two videos. One was a preview video of what was up and coming, and one was an actual interview style. You know what I mean, like news interview. The short story of it is essentially a vape company, under the Freedom of Information Act. I don't know what the equivalent in America is, but the Freedom of Information Act requested all information pertaining to whatever topic, whatever the exact topic was. It was something to do with vaping anyway. Something that they could get a legal foothold on because of their involvement in that industry. So they asked for this correspondence, emails, whatever was able to be released under the Freedom of Information Act. They got given a shit ton of information. Obviously, anything the government discussed regarding vaping that they could legally get hold of through the Freedom of Information Act. And they found email correspondence like the one I'm about to show you. But I'm going to wait for Mark to get back so he can make me full screen so everyone can read it. But
this is what you sent in the chat a little while back that was absolutely rage-inducing.
Oh, fucking hell. I don't know if you'll be able to see this because it's going to be quite small. But I don't know whether I should be showing you the email addresses, but it's out there, so who gives a fuck.
Freedom of Information Act.
Subject line. What we want to get across to teens. So this is a media group, Media Works SMT, whatever they are. A media group planning out some sort of propaganda, I suppose is the only word for it. It might have been through a video or through what, I'm not entirely sure. But this is essentially what they were trying to get across. So I've spoken to my younger teens and older teens, and there's two different approaches that might work. We'll see if we can get a few of their friends here to chat with me this week. For middle school kids, we should do something like, this is what basically what we're saying, we should do something like shocking ads, like real truth ads, which I'm presuming is a type of advert out in the States, that show someone fairly young being harmed by vaping. Is it reaching to show a young person on a respirator or with an asthma inhaler? And vaping isn't harmless.
I love that scientific connection.
Yeah, we can do shots of
asthma inhaler, the one with the VG in it.
Yep.
Yeah, we could do shots of them on an inhaler. For high school age kids, we can show a mod being filled with antifreeze or a container listing the chemicals to show harmful chemicals in it. We can show an image of a kid making a vapor trick, and in the cloud, show the chemicals involved. The slogan, "It's not water vapor," or something like that. Apparently, many kids do think it's just steam, and it's not bad for them.
It's amazing.
Wow. This is page 562 of however long this Freedom of Information Act documents that they managed to get hold of was. But fuck me, if that is so. Basically, this vapor company is suing these people for essentially defamation of character, but whatever the equivalent is with harmful wrongdoing towards someone's business or whatever their class action lawsuit they're going for is. But it just shows the extremes that people will go to.
As Labworks posted, it was the internal documents for tobacco-free kids.
But the thing is, when you put up these adverts saying that this is this case and this is this case, like warning you of cigarettes, right? You have to have them backed up by studies. At least in the UK, you do. You have to have a source study that you put in. There's no scientific connection. So I don't know how far along the line they were planning to get with this before they realised it just wasn't going to fucking work. It's
2,400 pages. Consumer fraud. There we go. That's what I was looking for. But essentially, it shows the lengths that people are willing to go to get a very blinkered, one-sided point across. And the fact is that with any study, a bit like that guy that we were talking about earlier, with any study, you can twist any data done by any source to suit your argument, should it be available. And if it's not available, people like Big Tobacco, before they jumped on the bandwagon with Vape and Blue and all the shit that they were doing, they were conducting their own research, which was heavily endorsed by them and heavily weighed towards the argument that vaping was dangerous. And people were wise to it. You know, independent studies from Public Health England and our National Health Board were done, and they found that vaping was a lot safer. And that data was released, and it's a much more credible source than Dave from distributionoftobaccoproducts.com, who's conducted his own independent research. But it just shows that people don't.
I mean, their agenda is slightly different. They're trying to get the kids to.
Don't lie to them.
They're trying to scare kids into not vaping. But at the same time, how much, how much bullshit needs to be put across before people will, before people will actually come across with an honest answer? Because we've discussed this before at length many times, so I don't really want to go into it. But I'm sure as hell, if I had the option of my kids when they grow up to start smoking or start vaping, I'd rather they did none, obviously, but I'd much rather they started vaping than they started smoking.
Surely it's better to advertise the dangers of addiction rather than just the dangers of vaping, because clearly, I mean, go for that. If you want to get kids off vaping and smoking and drinking and gambling, advertise against the dangers of addiction, and you've killed 90 birds with one stone. It's
just a joke, because also it's heavily diluting the accurate knowledge that kids receive as well to make an informed decision. And I spent a large portion of my adult life as a youth worker, and the whole premise of youth work and supporting young people is to be able to help them or support them, bolster them in making their own informed choices. And you can't make an informed choice if all of the information you're given surrounding that choice is all bullshit. And whether it's for one side or the other, whether it's for one side or the other, it doesn't matter. Telling people that vaping is completely harmless isn't necessarily a whole truth. But the same way telling them that it's going to do irrevocable damage, it's as bad as drinking fucking, I don't know, antifreeze or whatever they're trying to get across, is 100 times more extreme than telling them it's just water vapor. I think telling them it's water vapor is a lot closer to the truth than telling them it's the same as drinking antifreeze or vaping antifreeze. And that's it. So levels that we go to get people to buy these products. Now, I've developed products myself. Mark retails products. You work in a shop. Chandler does something to do with podcasts. You know, we all have an agenda in getting people to vape or to be vaping. You know, my products wouldn't sell if no one vaped. Mark wouldn't have a shop if no one vaped. You wouldn't have a job if no one vaped. Chandler wouldn't talk to Jimmy as much.
No.
But you know, the fact of the matter is we have benefits to people vaping. But I would never lie to someone in order to benefit myself if I knew that it was going to cause them permanent damage. It's not who I am. Morally, I try and be a nice person. I don't tell people the same way you wouldn't tell your mates, oh, drink this, knowing that they're allergic to, I don't know, fucking sesame seeds. Drink this drink. And then giving it to them, and it's full of sesame oil. Do you know what I mean? You just wouldn't do it. It's fucking ridiculous. But we base our business, all of us, on fact. We use the facts created by independent data analysts, independent studies, independent scientific experiment, and we use them to back up our argument. Mark, you being a college professor, or whatever you like to call yourself, nutty professor, you know, I've done a degree. You know, at uni, the whole point of a thesis or a whole point of a dissertation is to find fact to support your points.
Exactly.
You support your own points with fact. And that's how life works. You know, any argument you have with anyone needs to be supported by fact. So
and it's also being open to the fact that you might not get the result you want.
Absolutely. And that's all hypotheses, all theory is there to be proven or disproven. And the fact is that 99.9% of I don't know, molecular theory can only be disproven. It can't be proven. The same way, if you conduct experiments under heavily modified conditions, you will be able to prove at any point you want to prove.
Yeah.
Being able to take independent study that has no bearing on, you know, the people that conducted these experiments have no benefit or loss by conducting them, and then taking that independent data and being able to support your own argument with it is as close to fact as you're going to get.
Yeah.
Making up your own bullshit to you know, satisfy your agenda is just fucked. If the whole world worked like that, we'd all be fucked.
Have we all got an RDA?
Absolutely,
Chris.
we have. Well, I have.
Chris, do you want to turn your speakers down? I'm getting right feedback from you. Is anyone else?
Dig mine out quickly.
My speakers are really quiet at the minute. I'm just going to download mine and get it ready. Oh, fuck me. It's coming up for 10 o'clock. Time flies when you're having fun, lads.
It does, doesn't it? It does.
Right. Oh, if everyone can find their photo and apply that photo to their screen, and if we all do it at the same time.
Right, mine's ready to go. I just have to click a button and it'll come up on my screen.
Yeah,
I haven't got a photo. I've got it in my hand.
Chandler, you probably bought it last week. It's got to be something that's, you know, old. Something that we need to bring back. You can't bring back something you've just bought.
I think it qualifies, but tell me if I'm wrong when I show it.
All right, well, we'll get there. We'll get there.
I can't
Cass,
find
have you
it.
lined up a picture?
Find a picture and apply it as your screen, Cass.
Okay, 2 seconds.
Mine was easy. Mine was an easy choice. Oh, who did we lose? We've lost Chris and at exactly the same time.
Nice.
Don't share your screen until they're back.
Okay.
Where did they go?
I literally... Did you just shut them off? I can't hear them at
No.
all.
They both disappeared.
Well, I went to
at the
get
same
mine.
time.
I went to get my RDA, which I can't find. Oh, Chris is back. My screen froze.
I had no idea.
Mine said not connected.
Bizarre.
Weird.
Am I still there?
Right. Yeah, you
Hello?
are now.
Hello, yeah, Chandler, we can hear you.
You can hear me. Oh, awesome.
Coming in loud and clear, sir.
Oh, awesome. Oh, hang on a
Right.
minute. Let me turn my YouTube off because that's it. What the hell? What? That's
What?
just bizarre.
What?
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 Have we all got a picture lined up or what?
Yeah.
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 Right, we're going
So,
to go on the count of three.
After 3, 3, 2, 1, go. That's not an RDA, Chandler.
It's why he said something small.
No, I didn't. I
It's
said
small.
RDA.
It's a tank. Yeah, all right, but it's
I
small.
ha-
Oh, do you know what?
It's
Cass?
rebuildable.
Fuck off,
Yep.
Chandler. You're
Oh.
out. You've lost.
Bollocks.
To be honest, mate, I'm really supportive of your choice.
Thank
Mark,
you.
you can fuck yourself. That is dog shit.
That was
But,
dog
Oh,
shit.
hang on. It wasn't. Was it a bring back thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yours
I
is
was
dog
thinking of the worst.
No,
Oh,
bring
it was
back-
what you'd want
no.
to bring back.
Right, Mark,
I don't wanna
while
bring
we
that back.
fight our arguments out, you can find something you actually want to bring. That was dog shit. That one. I'm a big fan of the haze actually, but
Yeah,
I
I've
think
got
the
one
hobo-
somewhere.
I think the hobo is fucking awesome. It was
Yeah.
so nice,
Yeah.
so little. It goes so well with all the mods everyone uses nowadays. I just loved it. I don't think there was
Let me
anything
try and
I
find
didn't
my
like.
haze.
If either of you find a haze and you want to send it to me so I can reminisce and then I'll send it back, feel free. I'm not going to go and buy one, but I miss them. I did like the haze a lot. But I've actually got one of them, Mark. Knocking about.
I have as well.
But yeah, the hobo was fucking awesome. Such a nice little RDA.
It's not one I ever actually tried, to be honest with you.
What?
I know.
See, I like
I
the way
know.
Mark can about face and find one that he actually means for this category. And Chandler's still sitting there without even bothering to try. That doesn't count. I
Why
don't even know
not?
what the fuck that. What is that?
It's a Serpent Mini.
I did have an
Fuck
alternative
off.
lined up.
Okay.
Lined up.
By having an alternative lined up, you mean you can search?
Yeah, no, I had it in my
I
head.
like that as well.
I've still,
I've got one
again, it's
knocking
in the
about.
same little... I've got a little black pouch with both the dot mod and the haze in it, and I cannot find either of them anywhere. They're probably in a drawer somewhere. But
I've got a dot
love
mod
both of
knocking
those.
about somewhere. I thought it was on the desk, to be honest, but that's not old. Chandler, fuck off. Yeah, the hobo, I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. It looked nice. It felt nice. It was very unique at the time. The airflow was a little bit turbulent at times, but no, I really loved it. Mark,
see,
what
that was
about
my
you?
issue with the haze.
The haze was a little turbulent, but it was very airy, which was really important in the phase that it was going to. Because we were
I
going
also
from
have the slammed version of
small-
it as well.
Oh, beauty! We were really going from that phase of really tight airflow into slightly open airflow, and I think the hobo sort of fit into that. But the haze then come out with it was a lot more open, and it was really what was called for at the time.
Yeah.
The dot mod did that cloud cap, which had the 2 holes rather than the 1, so they kind of catered for that market as well. The Derringer in itself was actually quite a bit different.
I love the Derringer. Never
Can we go
owned
into
one,
it,
but I
Mark?
love it.
Say again.
You're gonna go into the Derringer?
I've just realised I've got one here. I just found it on the shelf.
They didn't come with a drip tip, did they?
The
No.
smallest RDA I've 22 mils, which ain't small. So
I don't think they came with a drip tip, the Derringer.
No.
I've got one. I also have it was like a limited edition brass cap for it as well. But yeah, I loved it. But I think mine, I'm going to stick with mine. Mine's the Hobo. I'd like to bring back the Hobo. Mark, you've picked the Derringer. Is there a reason why? What did you like about it?
It was just nice. It was just nice. It worked. It's not the easiest to see there, is it really? But
3-post deck?
no.
No?
Yes. Yes,
Well,
it was.
Yeah.
Cass has
that little-
disappeared.
Oh,
Cass is good.
that little ring around Mark's, you see that where the airflow holes are? That actual ring come off, so you could build it and then clip that back on, then put the cap on.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it didn't really have a juice well, but
It-
it was so fucking small.
It did have a juice. Hang on.
Not massive. It's not really. You couldn't really qualify as a juice well, could it?
Yes.
Oh, it has a bit of one.
So juice well, and then your collar that sat over the top.
God, this
And
is bringing
then-
back memories.
And then your cap
I'm gonna
went
see
over
if
the
I can
top of the
find
collar.
I
see if I can
found the
find
bag
one.
that the haze was in, but it's actually only the spare cap that it comes with.
Oh, so you got the bag but no RDA.
No idea yet. I will
bless
find
you.
it. I'll find it. I'll build it and I'll vape it next show.
Paul, look into my eyes. You can send me that Derringer.
Everyone had a Derringer at one point, except for me. To be fair,
Why don't you have one?
I just never bought one. I don't know why. I think it's because so many other people had them. I just used theirs. But
I think I just went for ridiculously large things.
compensating.
Obviously trying to make up for other areas.
Possibly, yeah. Possibly. I'm trying to think of other RDAs that I used to love. I mean, I used to love the Troll V1. It wasn't little, but it was banging.
Some of my favourites. I really like the little boy.
Sorry?
Now then.
The little boy. Do you not remember the little boy?
Oh, hello.
Google the little boy RDA.
Mark's like a
Do you
little
remember
boy.
the Doge?
The Doge.
Those wasn't even that long ago, was it?
Two and
Yeah,
a
it was
bit
about the
years.
same time.
This
The
little boy.
and I really like the Dark Horse RDA as well.
Do you know what's really fucked me off? In my little
What?
search then, right? I must have had 2 Derringers. I found 2 Derringer caps and no deck.
It's just like me and my haze.
I found 2 Derringer caps and no deck. And I found an airflow control for a haze, but no fucking haze.
Alright, I'm gonna find this haze.
I'll
Two
put them
seconds.
together and make my own little device.
Yeah. Put them together and you get a little bastard RDA going. It'd be fine.
So I've got 2 Derringer caps. Praxis Vapor, that's who makes it. Look how small that is, Chandler.
That is tiny. That is just.
That's before Tiny was a thing.
That's before tiny was tiny.
Yeah, so I don't know where the deck is for that, but I've got 2 airflow. I've got 2 caps for them. So there's two Derringer decks knocking about somewhere. And yeah, I've got a Haze. I think this was a Haze V3. I don't think that one you showed was an original Haze.
I couldn't find the haze, but I did find this.
Oh,
What
shit.
the heck? Hammer.
That's a clone though.
Oh yeah.
The original one was in stainless. That's a clone.
Yeah, no, I know. But it still brings it back, right? This one never worked properly, to be fair.
That's because it's
A lot of them didn't, to be honest. Even the authentic ones struggled sometimes.
Yeah.
I might try and get it going again. That might be hilarious.
Yeah, we'll just watch you.
I found a little pipe the other
watch
day,
it
actually.
explode live.
I wonder what I could run through this.
Apparently, you can still pick up the Vicious Ant Cyclone for $49.99.
Oh, I've just dropped half of it on the floor. Well, that's not happening. Right. BRB V2.
Are we just digging around for...
Mark,
Yeah,
all I can see is black screen. There you
my
go.
bad.
It's all right. we need something subtle to say, so when to let you know rather than just having to go, Mark.
The Cyclone. That was incredible.
Look, my first RDA was a recoil.
My first RDA.
I got that in the. I got that at the Expo 2 years ago.
I couldn't even tell you what my first... I can tell you what my first RDA was. Oh, fuck, what was it called? I'm sure I bought it from Totally Wicked or somewhere like that. And it needed drilling out.
Do you remember
it was
these
the
bad
octopus.
boys?
It was the
Needed
octopus.
drilling out. The octopus.
Do you remember these bad boys?
What is it?
That just looks like a ring.
Yeah, it's the airflow control ring.
Mephisto.
Yeah.
I've got a Mephisto on the shelf here. Sure
I love
have.
them.
In fact, I
Wear it like
actually
a ring.
had it. I actually had mine drilled out.
I love the Mephisto. Oh, I could have just used this as my wedding ring.
I'll tell you what, Chandler, you'd cream yourself over that drip tip.
Oh, well, let me see. I can only see my. I can see.
I'm full screen.
Oh,
Oh, look at that!
That bad boy.
Oh, I do like that drip tip.
That genuine Mephisto mark.
yeah.
Did you screw it onto your mod with a spanner? It looks like it's hexagonal.
God almighty.
So yeah, what
let's
does
just
the
bring it
chat
back.
think then? Are we bringing back the hobo? Are we
See,
bringing
look,
back
we've
the
got
Derringer?
one. We've got one for the Wasp Nano.
Fuck off.
No.
Ah,
Are we bringing back the Derringer, the Hobo, or the Hayes V3? I think that was.
It was the IGO WM. It was, yes. Well done, Badger. It was. The
Igo made
octopus
some
it was
alright
known as.
RDAs.
You say the drip tip looked like the one from the IGO WM. I wasn't sure what the RDA was because you told me it was a Mephisto.
The RDA was. I don't know where I put it now.
I found me
No,
dot mod, though.
we were talking about the. I was talking about the octopus when you left.
Ah.
Cool. Right, where are we? We're about there. We're about there. We just need.
I just want to know what people are.
we're still just on you, Mark.
Oh, we got 2 votes for the Derringer. I'm gutted that I found the airflow control on the caps of those 2 RDAs. But I haven't found the fucking RDAs.
Yeah, I want to find mine now because
yeah.
I found the. There you go.
You know
See,
what?
I've got that exact RDA, but I've also got the cloud cap, the chuff caps for them. They released.
Yeah, I was thinking about getting one, but I actually wanted the Trinity glass cap for it.
I've got a Trinity glass cap for a Kennedy.
You haven't got a squat kit for it, have you?
For the,
So
I don't know. Maybe.
22 or 24, Chris?
24.
Ooh.
Serpent Mini,
That is
hang on.
probably my favourite. The most used RDA is the 24mm Kennedy for me.
Yeah, me too. I think I had 4 of them at one point.
I still think I've got 3 or 4.
I've actually got a glass section which turns the Kennedy into a tank.
What?
Nice.
I'll Google it. I broke it, so I don't actually have it anymore. Let me see if I can find it.
Look, there's 2 votes for my Serpent. There's 2 votes for my Serpent Mini in chat.
The key to the serpent was you always had to snip your wicks at an angle, and if you did that, it would never leak. That was the key.
I just bung them in. Bung them in, screw the cap down, traps the wicks. It's fine.
I will get this set up for next week, though, and let you know how it works. I've dropped half of it on the floor. I'm not going to go down and get it, because that's terrible. And I want to find my haze. I've got no idea where it fucking is. It's not in its haze baggie.
That's set up for an 18650. That hammer, not a. You need it for the. You need it with the original 18350.
Check
now, what
this out.
I'm gonna put the haze on it and see how we go.
Check this out. If this doesn't make you come in your pants, I don't know what will.
What's that?
I'm showing you now. Shoot it.
Okay.
Shoot it.
Sorry.
I might have thrown my haze away, actually.
Oh,
I'm ready to come in my pants. Oh.
Oh.
Bell cap. What is that?
That's Kennedy.
Oh.
You turned the Kennedy 24 into a tank.
What if you accidentally knock it off and just piss it everywhere?
I broke mine.
Ouch.
It wasn't cheap either.
It doesn't look it.
No.
How
It's complex.
fucking nice is that? When it's all wicked up and juiced up, it looks incredible.
I bet. That is awesome.
I'll try and find... Oh, there you go, there you go. I found a picture of one being used. I think this is one anyway. Save image.
Did you prefer the 3-post or the 2-post, though?
3-post. Well, 3-post because I used it the most, but I don't know. I might have. I did use a 2-post, but
I've got a 2-post 24 under 25.
That wick is minging, though.
I don't think that's actually even a Kennedy, but it's a similar sort of concept.
Doesn't look like Kennedy.
Wow, I like that. That just looks.
That's pretty much how it looked. It's by a company called Trippy Tanks or Trippy Tips or something. But it was so ingenious.
Did you literally? You literally just took that off the top of the RDA upside down to fill it up, presumably.
Yeah.
So you just turned it upside down, popped it off.
Yeah.
Now that needs bringing back.
See this? I want to show you this picture, but it looks like it's on a Zomo laser. Well, it's on an equivalent. So it's on something like a Zomo laser, anyway. Where's this picture? Whoa! How do I zoom out? Fuck me. Do I have to find that?
We can find out
how
who
to
that
zoom
person is by their fingerprint.
Why won't it let me zoom out?
Just
Nice
scroll
overlay.
it like in 1990s dial-up porn.
There you go.
It won't let me move it. What the fuck is going on?
That's a Tesla.
I was going to say that's not a Zomo laser. That's a Tesla.
I don't give a. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Look at
It
that.
actually looks shit on that one.
It does, but in general, the idea of it was fucking awesome.
And what's going on with these nails?
Ugh.
Oh, don't. I can't look. Yeah, it was fucking amazing. But I dropped mine and cracked the glass, so I didn't use it. I don't know where it is. I've probably lost it.
Do
Right,
we
I
want
think
to
that's
talk
brought
about
us.
our potential plans or not?
You
I've
could
got a
make
question
yourself
to
so I'm
ask.
not full screen anymore.
I could. Bear with me. I've got a question. If anyone can identify this RDA, Jono, one of our viewers, has asked me if anyone recognises it. I'm just copying the images across now. So, the deck.
Just a quick statement here. That Bry, that berry Nick Salt is fucking awesome. So nice.
So, that is the deck.
Oh.
What's that?
What was that called?
And that...
That's not the... Is that an iGo? One of the
No, it
old
looks
ones,
too
like the
thin.
2.
I
It just
thought it
looks
was
like
like
someone-
IGO W. No, IGO something.
Oh, straight up. I had
Screaming
one of
iGo
these
to
floating
me as
around my
well.
shop not that long ago. And I put silica wick through it and vaped 18 milligram in it, and it was amazing. And I put it on an ego pen.
That's what they were designed
No.
for. I think they were like 12mm.
Yeah, so if anyone knows what that is, let one of us know, and we'll pass that information on to Jono.
X1 2.1.
So yes, we have got a few changes and modifications coming to the show. We've got some new features. We're also going to be releasing content throughout the week as well. We're going to be looking at yeah, I'm not going to say much more.
Probably won't be for
what
a
do we
little
want?
while, but
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks, I'd imagine.
I think we'll probably start releasing it about the same time that Dave Grohl picture's done.
yeah. Yeah.
So, no,
Main-
thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Sorry, Chandler, go on.
No, it's all right. I was going to say mainly because the only thing I usually do is record audio, so I need to pick someone's brains about getting a video editor because I just don't have one because I've never
Sling
needed
it
to
over.
use one. I'll ask you later.
Okay. Awesome.
Thank you very much for joining us. If you could smash that thumbs up button before you leave, it would be muchly appreciated. Thank you very much for joining us. We will see you fuckers next week. Adios. VT UK. Hear me now. Wicked. Jungle is massive.